So I found out this was going on. I knew that I was going to have to do something, but I sat on it, procrastinated until one night, my best friend, who was pro-life, but thought that she should help in these abortions to give these moms compassionate care, told me that she had just been involved in a baby and in an abortion, that the baby had been aborted because he had Down syndrome and survived. And she was taking the baby to the soiled utility room to die because the parents didn't want to hold him and she didn't have time to hold him that night. And when she told me what she was doing, I couldn't bear the thought of this suffering child dying alone.
Mhm.
And so I cradled and rocked him for about the 45 minutes that he lived. He was about the size of my hand. He weighed about a half a pound. And he didn't move very much because he was using all of his energy attempting to breathe. And I remember toward the end of his life, I couldn't tell if he was alive or not unless I held him up against the light to see if I could see his heart beating against his chest wall, because our skin is very thin at that age. And after he was pronounced dead, I folded his little arms across his chest. I tied them together with a little string. I wrapped him in a shroud, and I took him to the hospital morgue where we took all of our dead patients. And after I held that baby, the weight of what I knew was going on at the hospital just became too much for me to continue not doing anything about. So I had two choices, obviously. One was to leave,
Mhm.
and one was to stay and fight. And while I was seeking counsel from my pastor and reading scripture and praying, a passage just jumped out at me, Proverbs 24:11 and 12, which I'm sure is familiar to many of your viewers. And that is, it says, rescue those who are unjustly sentenced to death. Don't stand back and let them die.
Mhm.
Don't try to disclaim responsibility by saying that you didn't know. For the Lord who knows all hearts knows you knew, and he will reward everyone according to his deeds.
Mhm.
So I thought those were my marching orders. I was called to stay and fight what I knew was going on in the hospital. And that's kind of the beginning of how everything started. This was in 1999, 25 years ago.
Wow.